Francesca, thank you so much for kicking things off. Not always the easiest thing to do, so I really, really appreciate that. So, great presentation, really good job here. You've really gone through the requirements here and followed them to a T. So that's fantastic. Please keep that up moving through the class. Um, this is a really good presentation. I think that the neatest thing here, and I think the most effective thing here is number one, you've linked out to the article. Oh, and by the way, I'm not familiar with this article, so I loved it. I'm a pretty big proponent of studying history as a design student, so I try to keep up on my history as well as I can. I've been studying design history for a while now, so whenever a new article comes along, I'm really super happy about it. And this is no exception. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was not familiar with that article before your submission. So again, thank you. So the article is great. The article is excellent. And I think the smartest thing that you've done in this presentation is that you're not just using the subject as a basis for your design decisions. We can clearly see that in your descriptions of the three different sketches, but you're using content to help drive your design decisions. That's smart, that's important, and that's good design. Good design planning, I should say. So again, what you've done here is instead of saying, okay, hey, I'm going to use the Art Nouveau history period in history to base my magazine spread on, and I'm going to design this article based on Art Nouveau. But what you've done is you've gone into the article and you're actually using content to drive your design decision. So not only are you designing in the Art Nouveau to tip the hat to Art Nouveau, but you're also taking content from the article and applying that to your design decisions. That's smart, and that's good design decision making right there. As far as the sketches themselves go, I see some good page mechanics here set up. This is set up wonderfully. Got this really super interesting area here. That spans both pages. I don't see this as being problematic in that there's nothing in the gutter area. If you remember in our course readings, the gutter area is the fold between two pages. You've got two column spread two column grid on each side of the page, and that's consistent. That's good. Headline area, subhead area, and then kind of this attention grabbing area with the illustration. So that's looking pretty good. Good page mechanics here. The next page, this is a little problematic in that you're planning on designing right through the gutter of the magazine. Now, don't forget, the gutter indicates a fold, so the pages are folded together. If you take any magazine and open it up and lay it on a table, you can see that fold. The pages kind of fan out like this, and that can be a problem designing this area right here. And any multi-page or any two-page spread in that gutter area can be a problem based on that fold. As you know, if we fold this right down the middle, it's going to make distortions based on what sits in the gutter. So definitely consider that. If you want to try to span typography across the gutter, I would recommend that you run some tests. Like this word yourself, this is just not going to work in a fold right here. It'll never come out reading yours. It's always going to have a little distortion here. So really, really want to think about that moving forward. Keep in mind when you're designing this spread, it's going to look like a flat design, right? But one of the things that really keep in mind in magazine design is the fact that it's not going to be flat. It's going to be folded, and it's going to be placed in a magazine with several other pages. So there are going to be some page creep involved, meaning that there's going to be a little distortions right here in the gutter area. So keep that in mind. Other than that, I think that you're limiting your typography to the right page instead of spread like this. And I think this is really interesting for an introduction for a two-page spread. This might be a little bit illustration heavy, typography light. So think about that in moving forward. This, I think, again, we've got a lot of activity here, a lot of things going on here that are kind of taking the attention away from the viewer's ability to say, okay, where do I start reading this article? And that's one of the things as a designer, you want to be very deliberate in where you want the viewer to enter the composition, and also so that viewer knows exactly where to start. So a drop cap right here might work. And remember, this is a class in typography, so you're really super heavy illustration and really light in typography. So yeah, and I'd rather see a double page typographic spread with supporting illustrations as opposed to a double page illustration with supporting typography. Does that make sense? If not, let me know. Pretty critical point. Um, this, I think, is a little predictable, using the A as the Eiffel Tower, or I should say using the Eiffel Tower as the A in art. I think that's just a little bit predictable. So you may really take a look at that and then think that one through. As far as your color palette goes, I think you're really super saturated and very bright in your color choices. Art Nouveau period featured very muted earth tones. And these colors right here could possibly be indicative of some of the stuff that Lautrec was doing. But don't forget, the work that Lautrec did was totally different than that. That's Lautrec. And then and your other examples you used were Jules Charest and Mucha. So Charest and Mucha were stylistically pretty similar, but Lautrec was completely on the other end of the spectrum in terms of Art Nouveau. So that said, you might consider staying away from a Lautrec-esque palette because theoretically Lautrec's color palette was not indicative of typical Art Nouveau. It was much brighter, as we can clearly see here, with these muted earth tones, and in comparison to Lautrec's very bright palette. If you jump into Illustrator right here, there's a great tool right here. This is Illustrator. Now what I'm going to do, let me get that out of the way. Let me close that. And right here, Illustrator, swatches. Now you're going to be working in InDesign, right? But you can establish a color palette using Illustrator tools right here in the Illustrator swatches panel. If you double click, or if you just click that hamburger menu, fly out right here, you have Open Swatch Library. If you click Art History right here and come down there, as you notice, there's not an Art Nouveau, which I just don't. It baffles me why there's not an Art Nouveau color palette in these art history color palettes in the swatches panel and custom colors in the swatch library of Adobe Illustrator. However, there's not. But within the art history, there is a Baroque, and that Baroque color palette, as you can see, is quite similar to Art Nouveau color palettes, and they're gorgeous. These are gorgeous color palettes, and the best thing is they're right here for you to use, and they're all harmonious too. So think about that in your color choices to assist you in your color choices. All right, great job. Again, thanks for kicking things off. Really great presentation here. Please keep up this level of engagement throughout the class, because this is exactly what we're looking for here as a preliminary stages of the setup and planning and development for the first project being the magazine spread. All right, great job. Thank you very much, Francesca. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if I can make any clarifications whatsoever, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'll be glad to do that. All right, thanks again.